Hello, Serge here from the back porch. Today I'm going to do a combination lesson and public service announcement. As you can see, I'm wearing a big brimmed hat. And the reason why I have to wear these now is because I guess with about 25 years of standing out in the sun day after day, especially the hot sun in the summertime, even wearing a visor, which I wore most of my whole teaching career and playing career, I didn't get enough protection on my face, especially, you know, on the lower part of my face, on my cheeks here. And I go for at least two visits two per year with my dermatologist. And in the last 3 or 4 years, we've been correcting a lot of problems with I guess some type of burns or whatever on my face, and I've had a basal cell carcinoma removed from here. It was a pretty good one. She had to cut it out, and I just had another. And I'm always getting some things. I guess she goes in there and uses that freeze stuff, and it freezes it up. And sometimes she takes a biopsy of it and sends it off. And as I said here about a month ago, I had one really big one taken off just inside my sideburn here, and I got the report back, and I believe I read it on the porch that it came back okay. So I've had to go to wearing these hats. Now, they really keep a lot of sun off me, and I try to get them to fold down a little bit more all around me. And but you know, when I put them back in the car and they sit on the seat or whatever, they tend to flatten out a little. But I try to get them down on both sides, all around me, to keep the sun even more off me. The point of this is I'm doing a lot better. I have a lot fewer problems, and I'm not having to have as many things burned off every time I go to see her. Plus, I also, as part of this public service announcement, is saying that I really put a lot of sunscreen on. I always use a high 50 sunscreen, and I do all my face, the back of my neck, my ears, and I do it even though I'm under this hat, and do my arms more often now. It's one of the things I've got DJ into doing, and he does it every time he plays and goes out in the sun to practice, anytime he's really out there, even when he goes out on his boat. So I'm just asking you all, probably begging you all, to keep doing this. I just had a student recently that had a really big one cut out of his cheek over here, and it's still in the healing process. And so really do this stuff and get it on your arms. Even though once you get sun, you get a pretty good tan, you want to keep it. You want to keep doing it and to keep it off and reduce getting overly burned. So with that said, let's keep doing it so we can stay more healthy and have and hopefully not have to worry about skin cancer. Another thing I'm going to say is wear sunglasses. Talk to any optometrist, ophthalmologist, or whatever. They're telling you if you spend a lot of time in the sun, you really need to wear sunglasses. Helps reduce cataracts once you get over about 40 or 50 years old. All right. And so with those two things, the last point about the swing is this: when I went to these big hats and I started wearing them to play golf, if I make a good swing, which is where I'm supposed to finish with my forward hand really close to my ear, almost touching it. Well, it's kind of hard to do with these hats, because you see, if I avoid the brim, I'm at least about 4 or 5 inches away, which is starting to get me a little wide in my swing. And I found that at near the end of last year, my swing had deteriorated quite a bit because I was getting wide. And I was trying to think about it, and I finally figured out why I was getting wide. Because if I make a really good swing and I came up really close to my head, many times the brim would give this way, but when I swung back, recoil back, it would fall off. And that's no big deal to bend down and pick it up. But many times, if it comes off and the wind's at the wrong place, and say the wind's blowing this way and it flies off this way, next thing you know, I'm chasing my hat, running like crazy, chasing my hat to get it. But eventually, I believe what happened was, after knocking it off too many times, I get tired of picking it up, and I started to finish wider and wider to avoid hitting the hat off. And so now what I do is I figure I'm not going to go back to wearing a visor or whatever, especially when the sun's out, and because I need the protection. I like the fact that I'm having all these less issues with my face, burns, problems on my face and things. So I keep wearing the hat. But what I do is, as I said, I put a lot of, get a good rub down with the sunscreen on my face, especially my ears and over my cheeks and my sideburns here. And I do the back of my neck also very well. But what I do now is, to make sure that the hat doesn't make my swing get wide, what I normally do is I take it off drop it on the ground, make my couple practice swings, and then I walk up, hit the ball so I can have my good finish for recoil and relax. Then I just bend down, pick up my hat, and put it back on. So I'm playing every day with these hats on now, but what I do is, as I said, I take it off, put it right back on. So it's not off very long, and it's right back on. So if you wear these hats and you find that your finish is a little wide, maybe you might want to try that. Make sure you put your sunscreen on very well, and then just take it off, put it down, and put it back on. And that way, at least especially if the wind's blowing, you won't be knocking it off and having to run after and chase it. But these hats are great. You might want to consider it if you've been having any problems with these issues especially on your face. Get into a wide brimmed hat, and if it has enough structure in the brim that the club can bounce off of it and pop it off, consider taking it off. But at least the key is for the vast majority of the time you're out wearing it, you're keeping your face protected, your neck protected from too much sun. Okay, well that's it for the search today on this, I guess, public service announcement about making sure we put on our sunscreen and wear more protective hats. And lesson-wise, if the hat stops you from finishing in a good tee finish close to your hands, with your forward hand close to your ear and recoiling and relaxing, having trouble staying on, take it off and get it out of the way and then put it right back on. Okay, well that's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking to y'all again soon.